Let's see. This. Cool. There's me. Cool. There's me. Yeah, we're good. Huh. Yes. There's me. Yeah, we're good. Sweet. Huh. Yes. Mute that. All right. I'm crooked. There we go. Hopefully. Works. All right. Hello to all. For any that have made it so far, besides just myself. Right now we have I found another one of these Gravity Tours before pre-launch, well, pre-release colorways. So I got another one because my dad really liked playing with it. So I got him one as a gift. And luckily, it came with string, which I'm now realizing forgot to cut. So that's on me. I've made a grave mistake. The one downside of Hawk Touch, as I've had Hawk Touch as a stringer, this thing will kink up on itself like no other. Chills, what's up, sir? It has been a while. I've been away and busy with work, but thank you for showing up. Always appreciate seeing you and talking to you. How have you been, sir? Oh no, my computer. Omar, hello. Nice to meet you. If I've already met you before in one of these streams, I'm sorry. Chilling with Hamster. Hello. Nice to meet you as well. So I am just stringing a few tennis rackets that I have. This one is for my dad. I got this as a gift for him. And then the other two, which are behind me, you may not be able to see them because they're far away, are two of my own personal rackets that, because I'm going to be playing tomorrow, I wanted to get freshly strung up because I have new strings I want to test and have been wanting to test for a while. So that's what I'm doing. Love to see any workshopping live. Omar, of course. And thank you, Chilling. Chills, I'm taking some time away from tennis, feeling this new great power when I get back. Okay. What are you doing in your time off, Chills? You just hanging around, or are you just being like, you know what? I've played a while. I need to rest, recover a little bit, and then get back out into the court. Because I personally have done it a few times to where, like, I'll take a break from actually playing tennis and not even necessarily did it to where, like, I was going to the gym more often or just doing other, like, physical exercise with it. I just stopped playing for a bit because timing didn't work out. And then I come back and I play the best tennis of my life. So sometimes those breaks just are exactly what we need. So I hope he wins every match with that. Try padel. Oh. See, I haven't got to play padel fully. The closest thing I've gotten was someone had padel rackets at a tennis club I was at because I was working at an event for my work. And so we were just hitting tennis balls with the padel paddles on clay courts. So Wasn't the true full experience, but it was definitely fun, and I could kind of see where Padel was getting it from. I think it'd be really cool to play. Now, granted, I also don't want to spend $100 an hour to rent a court, but just because that's what I've seen is like the normal rental. But I was like, that is a little crazy to me. However, if someone is paying for that and then they invite me to play, I mean, like, hey, that's a pretty good reason to get there. Chilling. Thank you for stopping by and actually talking. It was great meeting you for this time. Hopefully I see you again next time. Oh, that's exactly what happened to me when I do something. Relax for a while, you get back. Exactly. Exactly, Omar. Alright, did I finally get this to where I can cut it now? I hope. Because messing with head hawk touch is not one of the most fun things to do. But let's find out. Alright. Yay, it worked. Alright. Bosmer or Bosmer? I'm sorry, I don't know how to pronounce it right away. But hello. Nice to see you. And then the string, Omar, the string is made from metal or plastic. It is made from plastic. It's this string is a polyester string. So that's typically what my dad likes to play with. This one, Head Hawk Touch, this actually came with the racket when I got it, so that's why we're putting it in there instead of his normal string that he uses. And I also just thought it would be a good string for him to try, just because he tends to like circular polyesters to help give him a little bit more spin, not spin, but a little bit more control, and just be a little bit easier on his arm because he's had some shoulder issues in the past before. So it tends to work out pretty nicely for him. You'll be better with everything, trust me, bro. You're cool, I want to stay, but bye. Alright, chillin'. Well, again, thank you for the compliment. Thank you for stopping by. Hopefully I'll see you next time. Alright. It's so weird doing this on my own personal machine now instead of the ones at my work, because they're so different from this one. This one, obviously, as you can see, I have a crank right here, and that's the type of machine it is. It's a crank machine. The ones that they have me use at my work are electronic, so it is quite a bit different in how it feels to actually just be stringing with it. And it's just like, man, I know why my work has those. I just don't want to shell out $6 grand to buy one, because that ain't for me. If it's string, plastic mixed with basalt, it's to be done manually, or the machine will do. So you have to manually use the machine, Omar. You can, there's some people that are trying to make a stringing machine that can string the rackets on its own, but I don't think it's been fully developed yet. I know I've seen it. I just don't think it's taken off. And so you have to have the operator for the machine in order to actually get the racket strung. All right. So let's see. Yep, cool. All right. of chills, Omar? What's been going on with you guys? How's life treating you right now? What's going on, guys? We got 9 watching. Hello to all the people that have just recently joined. Thank you for coming to the show. I saw a comment, but I am going to put this through. What is it? No. The racket did not cost 6,000 US. The stringing machines at my work, the electronic ones, those are what cost $6,000. This one from Head, the normal gravity tour is, I believe it's around 300. It's around 300 USD. This one, since it was a limited release and kind of like what Head used to kind of hide the fact that it was a new gravity racket coming out. This one was luckily not that much, but it was still not the, it was pretty inexpensive for me, at least, luckily. And I'm very glad to have gotten it how I did. Come on. There we go. Yeah. And then something that I've been thinking of recently is the fact of how a lot of people, especially in tennis, when we're talking about rackets, we always talk about what the racket's going to help us with in terms of like, is this racket more control oriented? Is this racket more power focused? Is this racket going to help me generate more spin? But to me, a lot of the times when people are talking about that, you can have two people think they're talking about the same thing, but because a lot of actual tennis terms, in my opinion, aren't defined very well, it can sometimes be hard for you to get your point across when you're talking to people. That's just something I've noticed when I talk to people about their tennis gear. They're not really sure like what's going on or why anything they're trying isn't working. And so I was thinking about it today when I was at work, and I was trying to like define actually what power is in tennis, like what I would say my definition is of the word. And to me, power in tennis, just from what my experience is, and I'm still workshopping this, so if anyone has any ideas or comments, I would love to hear it. To me, power in tennis is just simply how fast the ball comes off the racket, how fast the ball leaves the racket when you hit it. Because if you think about it, the reason a stiffer racket, like say a Babolat for an instance, has more power, or the reason that, in my opinion, Babolat is seen as the power brand in tennis, is because their rackets do tend to be stiffer. And the stiffer the racket, the less flexible it is. Now, granted, the harder on the arm it is, but because of that, the ball, when it hits a Babolat frame, since it doesn't flex or it doesn't bend as much, the ball leaves the racket a lot faster than, say, a racket like this Head Gravity or any other kind of like, say, Wilson control racket, or just any racket from any other brand. So that's one of the reasons why this idea for the definition of power came to my head, and I'm trying to workshop it because I want to make sure that I have like covered all of my bases that I've seen before I officially say, yes, this is what I would define control as. Not control, but what I would define power as when it comes to tennis. So if anyone else has any ideas or anything they would like to chime in that we can discuss about how the definition maybe worked, I'd love to hear it, because at some point I know I'm going to make a video defining power, just like I did with my video from earlier that was how I define control in tennis. So I'm trying to work on the power one right now to make sure that way whenever I do a video or whenever I talk to someone, we can both be on the same page and both truly understand what we're talking about in order to get the best solution possible for everyone. Ernest, what's up, man? Thank you for the welcome back. Welcome back to you as well. Let's see. Come on. There's one. There we go. There's this. Oh no! Don't fall, machine. That would not be good. Yeah. So it all about how much the string is tied, not the string type, control versus power. Set high. Are we chatting about control versus power? Yeah, Ernest. I'm trying to come up with and solidify how I would define power in tennis, because a lot of the times with people that I talk to, whether it be at my work or just in general when I'm playing with them, they say they want more power and they say they want more control, they want more spin, but they don't actually know what that means, or they have a hard time actually saying what they want. They just hear these terms and they just kind of like go with it because they're not entirely sure what they want to say, or like not entirely sure how to go about talking about it. So I'm trying to solidify my definition of power in order to make sure that whenever I talk about it with someone, I can translate that effectively, simply, and we can have a very easy discussion based off of that very simple definition. Because there's a lot of tennis terms that are talked about that if you play tennis, you understand it, you get it, you know what they're talking about. But if you actually try and explain it, or you ask someone to like go a little deeper on it, then they say, I don't know. So that's just what I'm kind of like mulling over recently, and that's where my initial draft of my definition came in, to where it is how fast the ball comes off of the tennis racket when you hit it. That is what I am seeing as my definition right now. It is a work in progress. So if anyone has ideas or ways they think that this definition can be improved upon, and we have to keep it simple, because the simpler the better for most people to understand, just because tennis gets confusing the more and more you dive deep into it, especially if someone's a beginner. And I want this definition to work for all levels of play, not just those of us that have been playing for multiple years and we're kind of like a little bit more veteran, to someone that's maybe never played before or is just starting out. Omar, I'm too old for tennis. I do paddle. It's like, Omar, how old are you, Omar? Because there are still people that are playing tennis on an 80-year-old tour. How old are you? How old are you, sir? Because if you're under that, I think you might still be able to play. I'm just saying, you might still be able to play. I don't know you, but just maybe. Don't count yourself out yet. And then Ernest, I saw your comment. Let me get this, and then all right. Is it 100 square inch with thicker beam applies to power, smaller head size like a 98 or 97, and a string pattern of 18 by 20 applies to control? Ford Padel player. Hey, I don't know how to pronounce your name. Saeed or Syed. Don't be hating. You guys are the same age. Don't be hating. This is a friendly chat. No hating on anyone now. No matter what sport they play. Even if there's someone in there that plays pickleball, no hating. Not allowed. Aw, my all. Alright, cool. And then 100 square inch with, and then Ernest, back to your thing. Is it 100 square inch with a thicker beam applies to power? Yes, Ernest, that's typically how a lot of people see power and control rackets. It's very easy to tell by that. Some people just have a hard time actually just like understanding how those work together and what that actually does for them. And that's kind of where I'm trying to fit the definition, because a much thicker racket, or just a much thicker racket in general, is going to be more powerful because you have more mass that you're swinging with, and when you hit the ball, that's going to allow it to travel farther, and it's going to allow it to travel faster because it didn't typically bend as much. But when you start getting into the smaller head sizes and the thinner frames, because the thinner frames are absorbing a little bit more of the impact, that's usually where they take away some of the power, because the actual energy transfer some of it got absorbed into the racket rather than being reflected back from the actually more powerful racket. I know that sounded extremely convoluted, and I'm sorry if I lost anyone, but that was the words that came out of my mouth just now. There we go. Come on. You need a good let's see, chills. You need a good training partner that can hit the ball back to you. Then you can train together. String 55 pounds on a 90 or mid is not going to 55 pounds on a bigger head size racket. DT is more better reference in my opinion. Dynamic tension. Yeah. Dynamic tension is one of those things where it's like it can be a better tool. I think it's just harder for a lot of people. It's harder for more people to actually get a reading for dynamic tension, just because not a lot of people have a tool that can actually read it. But I get what you mean, Saeed. Please tell me how to pronounce that. I really don't want to keep butchering it if I'm just actually saying it very incorrectly. You need the Matrix. There. And you should. Okay. Where do you get? Yes! I pronounced it right. Thank you, Saeed. Yes. Cool. I'll send it. You pronounce perfect. Yes. String tension as well. Higher the tension gives you more control, and lower the tension gives you more power. Saeed, how are you gonna send that to me? I have an idea how you might be thinking about it, but how are you going to send it to me? I'm curious. Yep. All right, this. Boom. Yeah, it's down. Cool. Always have to make sure I tie off in the right spot. Luckily with head rackets, they mark where you have to tie off, and it's so nice. I wish all the brands did it. It would just make stringing so much easier. Now granted, you can pretty much figure out, I would say, like most all of the rackets patterns and like how to string them, but it's just nice to have. It's just nice to have the guideline be like, oh, okay, just make sure I do this, and then it tells me where to skip, and it's just like, it's so much easier. Whoa! That wasn't good. I'm getting too strong for my own machine's good. I've been hitting the gym too hard, guys. My machine almost can't handle it. It quite literally jumped off the table. Cool. PDF, email, or if you have Instagram, I got it from ERT themselves. Cool. I still use ClipperMate US for string overlap. They help. Okay. Well, Saeed, let me here. This is typically at the end of all my videos. So that should be the email to send it to if you are going to send it, Saeed. And then I will take a look at it, see what's going on with it, and go from there. Thank you for sending it. And then chills. Back when I was in high school, I played 60 pounds, but now 55 between 50 is great. You just get used to it. It's almost like learning to play left-handed when you use right hand. I practice lefty and right. You practice, but do you have a one or two-handed backhand? Because if you practice with both, at that point it's kind of like, man, what would happen if you just did forehands? All I'm saying, chills, only do forehands for the rest of your tennis playing career. If you train both lefty and righty, you just don't have a backhand, you just have two forehands, no one would see it coming. No one would expect it, and you'd just be hilarious to try and have them get you off the court because they wouldn't be able to do anything. Why is this locked? There we go. Chilling with Hamster is back. What's up? Where did you go? Like, yeah, where did you go? Because you were gone for like, what, 10 to 15 minutes, and then you came back? You just randomly have to, like, go chow down on dinner and then come back for a quick time? Ah. do dishes. All right, that's fair. Perfect. Let's see. Okay, so Saeed, you sent it. Let me see if I got it. It's better not be a Rickroll, or I swear that's gonna be awful. Sweet. Thanks, Saeed. I got it. It's it. I'm looking at it over on my computer right now, so I will take a look at that after I get done stringing all of these. Thank you so much. Very appreciate. Very much appreciate that. Now I run my own shop, and the RT thing is handy. So, let's see. Chills. Yeah, I play 2 forehands. Got so bored. Found new ways to play. Bro, that's hilarious. That I want to see it in person so bad now. I think that would be one of the best things ever. You just randomly start pulling out 2 forehands on whoever you're playing against. It's just like, that would be absolutely hilarious. They're just like, what is that? And then you're just like, yeah, I just do that. I'm just that good. And they're like, okay. Then you just win, Chills. Let's see. Did you make that thing for your dad? No hate. I don't know how to call it. So, I did not make the machine. I'm just putting the string in for my dad, Chilling. Now that I said that out loud, that's weird that there's both Chills and Chilling here in that. Did you guys do that on purpose to me? Just to mess with me? Alright. And then Omar, Omar, so back arm shot is not good. No. No, Omar, it can be. I personally would say that my backhand is probably my better shot from my against my forehand. It's just whatever you train more and whatever you feel more comfortable with. I would say a good majority of players heavily prefer their forehand over their backhand. So that's where it's like, as you play and as you continue to just practice with people, you can start to like pick up on which one people prefer pretty quick. Especially if you played with them before, or you're just like going out to casually hit, you can be like, okay, yeah, I know exactly where to put this. So that way this person either is not getting it, or they're just going to be in an uncomfortable spot as you just have the ability to win the point and make sure that you put yourself in the best position possible. It's almost like with padel. I would assume it's the same premise, to where if you know that someone is weaker or not as good playing balls off of the wall, then you're going to focus more on hitting the ball off the wall and forcing them to try and do that as much as possible, because you know you'll be in a much better place to win because of that. Let's see. Hope it's pretty good. Racket. He's Chilling. You're from Serbia. That's cool. See, YouTube being global, so cool. Wait a minute. What time is it in Serbia? Because what time is it over there? Because if you're doing the dishes now, and for me it's later in the day, or like closer to nighttime. What time is it for you, Chilling? Let's see. My server like at 140. Okay. Chills. Did you get that radar clocked? You got proof? You got proof, Chills? I mean, I'm gonna believe you, but I would also like to see a radar gun showing it. Because if you're serving 140, why ain't you on tour, bruh? I'm just saying. All I'm asking. Just saying. What's going on? Cool. Let's see. On that. Are you stringing a Speed Legend? Ernest? No, this is not a Speed Legend. This is the pre-release color for the Head Gravity Tour. That this is what the racket looked like, all blacked out, because Head did not want the actual colorway of the Gravity Tour to be known before they released the racket in January of this year. So this one was all blacked out, and I've strung my other one of these on here before, but I just got this one for my dad because he really liked the one I had, so I got this for him as a gift. And he already knows about it because I asked him what tension he wanted me to put the string in it. So he knows exactly what's happening here with this. And then he will get it. We'll get it ready to go. And hopefully we can get out and he can play with it soon to see what he thinks about the string. I wanted to say I go makes. It's 2 o'clock in Serbia. Okay. So that. Wait a minute. AM or PM? Is it 2 a.m. or 2 p.m. chilling? Very big difference. Because if you're making a sandwich at 2 a.m., respect. The fact that you're still up here, and I just say, thank you for watching me at 2 a.m. I also say, why are you watching me at 2 a.m.? You should probably go to bed. Just rough guess. But if it's 2 p.m. and you're just chilling out with your sandwich, that's cool too. I'm gonna be here for the next few, I would assume at least the next hour or hour and a half, because I have my other 2 rackets to get done. And then we go from there. I know, I should be on tour. Nice color. I hope he will be proud of you and be happy. Thank you, Chili. What is the new tech they're applying to the Speed MP? Okay, so the Speed MP and the Speed Pro, those things, I don't know if people really understood that the new Speed Pro and the new Speed Pro and the new Speed MP, the Legend version that they made and just came out with earlier in August, I believe, is when they came out of this year. I don't think people fully understand that that is the actual brand new racket for the Speeds that is coming out in 2026. So if you want to try what the brand new Speed is going to feel like and just see how it does, because you either like the Speed or you're just going to wait for the white and black colorway like it normally is, then try the Speed MP and Pro Legend. That'll be the new one. Now, to actually answer your question, Ernest, with the new technology, from what I have heard, because I have not gotten to I was not in the meeting with the head rep when they were talking about this, so this is just from what I've heard about it, is that they added, I think boron was the element into the racket. So they added boron to give the racket a slightly different feel. I haven't got to test it myself. I almost got my hands on one, I think today, but I did not because we were busy at work, so I didn't get the chance to grab one. But I want to say that boron combined with, I believe they still have the Auxetic 2.0 technology in the Speeds as well. They just added the boron. That, I believe, is changing up the feel of the racket. I don't think they actually changed the specs of it at all. I think they just added that boron material, from what I have heard. Now, I cannot speak efficiently to how that is going to affect feel and playability, just because I haven't got to play with the new one yet. So I can't really say whether or not this was a good thing, whether or not this was a bad thing. But I hope to get one very soon and to go from there and actually get to try it, because I have liked the Speed Pro in the past before. I had 2 of them, and just because I really liked how they played. So the Speed Pro and me, we go back, but I'd be curious to see how the new one does because I don't use one anymore, so I'm very excited to see how it does and how it'll fare next year. Applying Speed MP. You're almost finished. Congrats. Thank you, Chilling. Is it just passing it through holes? It is high bore. Support you 24/7, lol. When I finished high school, I thought I reached my potential, so I stopped. I just didn't have the knowledge about everything. It's only until I get 25 years old and found more info. Gotcha, Chills. Oi. Yeah. Cool. Yep, I'm right. And then so wait. If we have Chilling from Serbia, where is everyone else from? Because I, as you guys know, or may know, I'm from the US and I live in the Midwest, so that's why I was on Eastern time. But where does everyone else live? Because I've seen some of the stats of like different people viewing from different countries and everything. But for those that are here live, where are you from? Let me know. Come on. Get in. There we go. Cool. Almost done. All right, cool. And cool. We done with that one. Let's see. Is the boron be replacing the exec tech or adding to it? Ernest, I think it's just adding to it right now. I would have to check on the racket itself because I know the rackets say whether or not it has auxetic in it or not. So I would just have to check that before I give you a definite answer. But I want to say it's just enhancing the auxetic, not that it is taking away from the auxetic. Not that it's replacing the auxetic. It might be. I might be completely wrong, but I would have to check again. Cool. It's ready. Yeah, we'll just put that over there. Let's see. Is the boron? Yeah, Chills. But now I'm coaching a high school senior. He's a beast. Robert, hello. Nice to have you here, Robert. Thank you for saying hi. We'll do this one next. I didn't finish high school or regular. I'm in regular. What? Training for 3 years now. Okay. It's called the high bore technology. Chilling. It's 2 a.m., man. Go to bed. I appreciate you being here, but it's like, dude, get some sleep. I would assume you getting sleep is probably going to be more effective and, well, this is just awful. But you getting sleep is probably going to be more beneficial to you. Like I said, I appreciate the support and you being here, but get some sleep. Oh, man. My favorite player is Federer, so you can see I play closer like Federer. I will. I know, but I don't want. You know, exact technology is a hit or miss what made head rackets more muted. Nope. Yeah, the auxetic, when the head rep was telling me about it, I was interested, but he was telling me that by going up, what is it? He said if you liked the previous versions before auxetic, no. He said if someone had used or liked the original auxetic technology and they used that, they liked it, but then if they wanted to buy the new version of the racket and go to get a more similar feel compared to auxetic 1.0 from auxetic 2.0, that to go up by about 2 pounds in tension, and it'll feel almost the exact same. So that's what the head rep told me about it. So I will say from when they first introduced auxetic, instead from just having the basic graphene 360, yeah, because it went graphene 360 plus and then auxetic. That jump, that one you can feel quite a bit of difference in. But from auxetic 1.0 to auxetic 2.0, I didn't feel too big of a difference, and a few people I know as well that use this one, she actually uses the head radicals. She really didn't notice a big difference going from auxetic 1.0 to auxetic 2.0 at all. So like, she's pretty much just going with it and be like, yeah, this is pretty much the exact same thing. I'm gonna just stick with what I got because her rackets aren't broke. But I didn't notice too much of a difference from auxetic 1.0 to 2.0. They had kind of like was hinting at that anyway, so it's just kind of like whatever works. The boron, though, I'm very curious to see how it's going to go and all that. My eyes are closing. No. I want to watch more. Previous version was the graphene 360 and 5% battery. All right. Yeah. Chilling. It's okay. I will be stringing again at some point. This is something that happens quite often for us tennis folk, as you probably know. So this is not going to be something that doesn't ever happen again. Besides, I got a lot of strings I want to test. Like this one that I'm stringing, which my work gave to me because it is a unreleased string that is coming out potentially here soon, and they wanted me to give it a try before it officially launches. And I was like, yes, I will definitely do that because I want to see how it plays too. All right. Ooh. What will this be today? I think this will be like my... What is it? I think doing these three rackets will have me will make me have... I am not pronouncing this correctly. Doing these three rackets will put me at having done having strung 19 rackets today, which sounds like a lot, but I don't know. To the normal person who strings rackets, potentially. To a professional stringer who's stringing on tour, they probably would be laughing in my face right now, be like, 19, that's it. And to them I say, teach me your ways. I'd like to get faster and better. All right, chilling. Good night. Thank you for being here as long as you were. Get some rest. And then I hope to see you in the next one. Laura. Oh, all right. Me doing 5 is a nut flow. Yeah, I can see that, Chills. It's like it just depends. It just depends. There's some points or some times where it's like you can just be stringing and it's the most therapeutic thing in the world because it's just you, Racket, and you just plug away and go. Sometimes you do it. You just put in your headphones, turn on some good music. I know some people watch movies when they string. Some people listen to audiobooks. And then once you pick what you want to do, you already know the racket, so you're familiar with it, you're comfortable. You just go and you just have a time at it. And then there's other times where, like me, I was stringing, and me being me, I apparently forgot that the racket I was stringing wanted 2 different tensions. Now this is starting to become more and more of a trend I've been noticing, is that people are starting to get the exact same string in their racket. So like they're getting a full pack of, let's say, like Solinco Hyper G, just for easy example. They're getting a full pack of Hyper G, and then they're putting the mains at one tension and then the crosses at a different tension. And the mains they're keeping higher and they're putting the crosses lower. And I'm just like, really? You gotta make my life a little bit harder? Not cool. Because it's a little thing. Just remembering to do it. And in the past, I will say, I've messed up and completely forgotten to change the tension when I got to the crosses. And so, I got down maybe to like, I don't know, here on the racket, so like almost done. And then I realized, oh no, I completely forgot to change the tension, and now I have to restart the crosses. The worst one was when I accidentally did that, but I was so far into the racket that I just ended up finishing the racket and then cutting it and then cutting the string after I was done and just redoing the whole thing. Wasn't my greatest moment, but it happened. And I'm just like, that sucks. Not good. Not good at all. Oh. I guess the dogs are barking. If you guys heard that. If not, I don't know what you're talking about. Never sleep, never. I think better equipment makes it more comfortable to do them. Doing more can be easier. You're my favorite YouTuber now. Thank you, Chilling. I appreciate that. Yeah, different equipment to do these definitely makes it feel and go by a little faster. I don't know if I'm gonna have enough to do the one side of my mains. I really hope I do. I really hope I do. Come on. For real, I gotta sleep. Good night. I got school. Dude! You have school tomorrow. Why are you still here? Go! Go. Go to bed. You have school tomorrow. I was like, good job and good luck, mate. Chills, you talking to me, or are you talking to Chilling about that one? It's like that's a little late. Like, granted, when I was still in school, I did stay up late. Now, granted, I don't remember what I was doing. I think I was either doing homework until 2 in the morning, or I was just, yeah, I was probably just doing homework until 2 in the morning. But that was just me, because my homework, not the best. It just was long, took way too long. What does this look wrong? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Ah, that's why it looks wrong. I'm a little too far ahead on one side. But besides that, we're good. Good job, we love it. So Arrow is getting refreshed for 2026. I was one day not sleeping. It was 5 a.m. and need to go. What? Dude, you went a full day of no sleep because you realized it was 5 a.m. You're like, well, at this point, I'm already here. I might as well stay up. It's like, hey, you even said you were going. Go to bed. You said that. I don't need family members coming after me because you stayed up watching me and didn't get enough sleep for school. So go. Go. Mm-hmm. Let's see. Yeah. Oh boy, here it is. Oh, I really hope I can make it. I might have to jump it. I might end up having to jump it. Yes, Ernest, the Arrow is getting refreshed for 2026. If we follow the Babolat launches, the Arrow should be up next to get revitalized, or at least a new fresh look or a new version of it. So that will be exciting. I'm very curious to see if the new Arrow, especially the 98, that's really the only one I'm as concerned with seeing how that's going to compare to the current Arrow 98, because the Arrow 98 is everywhere. Like, people be loving Carlos and they be loving his racket. I know 2 guys alone that they both switched to the Arrow 98 and they both bought 3 rackets in their grip size of the Arrow 98. I'm just like, that is insane. Now, granted, I will say, I have an Arrow 98. I do have one. The only reason I have one, though, is because I bought it from a guy who originally had it. He's like, I just don't like it as much as the normal pure Arrow. And I was like, really? He's like, yeah. Do you want to buy it? I was like, how much? He said, I don't know, $100. I was like, I can do $100. So I gave him his 100, and I got me a pure Arrow 98. Luckily, it was in my grip size, and it was basically not scratched at all. So I was like, I'm going to take this deal. It's a pretty good one. And then now I have an Arrow 98, so I can be like, yeah, I got that. You want to try? Water time. And yes, Ernest, I technically, If you want to count the racket I just strung for my dad, that is technically going in his collection. But I did end up adding 2 rackets to mine. I did not buy them. They were given to me. But they are old. Actually, let me be right back. I'm gonna go get them. They're hiding away because I don't necessarily know what to do with them, but I'm not getting rid of them yet. So I'll be right back. I'm gonna go grab the rackets. All right, so I got the rackets. They're old, as you can tell from these carrying cases. And the handles are disgusting. They're starting to molt, so I'm gonna try my best not to touch them, because I don't want my hands to turn black. So, this was one of them. Looks to be a little bit more on the cheaper side, but is a Wilson Super Light Power Series. Actually, it's a Graphite Supreme Stretch from Wilson. This one they found, I don't know where, but they gave to me because they knew I liked tennis. So I was like, okay, cool. And then the next one, a Wilson Impact, oversized. Again, kind of a little like cheapo one, just from looking at it. Probably can't restring this one for fear of breaking it. Maybe I can. We'll see. But for already being strung and just being like kind of given to me, not bad. Yeah. Only the first one is better. Exactly, Chills. I'm not gonna complain though. They were free, so I might get them out on court with me just to like mess around with. But I definitely need to change those base grips though. That is disgusting. It's one of the worst things about tennis handles or just tennis grips in general is the fact that if you keep them in a place where they can get damaged because it's hot, or like you do what most people do to where they play tennis when they're younger and then they stop playing and then they keep the actual handles in the garage and then they start playing tennis again. They find it's just disintegrating and your hand is turning a different color, whatever color the actual grip is. It's just absolutely awful. One of the worst things though is if you have an old Turner grip that's just been sitting on a racket. And I mean, this thing has not been touched in years, or it's just like melted into the actual grip, because that thing being as sandpapery as it is, that thing just becomes like a felt. It sticks onto the grip, and then you almost cannot get that thing off. It is disgusting and absolutely awful. Every time I see one come into our store, I get a little bit worried because I'm like, I don't necessarily want to be the one to change that grip because it's not going to be fun and my hand's going to start turning blue and black. Not a good combination. Then I have to go wash my hands afterwards because it's just disgusting, and it's like, man, I didn't want to have to change one of those today, but that's gonna happen from time to time. Doo-doo. Alright, cool. Those aren't so bad. Actually, on the first one. Said hi. Okay, nice, decent Wilson racket. Last Wilson racket I have was the Hyper Pro Step. You know, Well, Barnes, I changed those old grips, put new grips on, and give them to new tennis players. Play exactly, Chills. But the hyper, Ernest, going back to that Hyper Pro staff, is that the 6.1 or the 6.0 Hyper Pro staff? Because if it is, I think I saw one today. Like, a guy came into my work with one that he found at a Play It Again Sports, and he just got it restrung because he's like, dude, look what I found. I was like, whoa, where did you find that? He's like, Play It Again Sports. They had no clue what it was. I was like, all right, cool. You can sometimes find some real hidden gems at like resale stores. I think which one did I see? I think I saw at one time like an old original Aero Pro Drive at a Play It Again Sports. It was either the original or it was like the next version after the original one. I was like, that is insane that is here. And even though I'm not going to buy it, that is insane that is here. Because that means someone didn't want it anymore, and it just ended up at a Play It Again Sports. I got testing. When I buy a rack. Chilling. Go to bed so you can go to school tomorrow. Go. You quite literally just said you have a test tomorrow. Go. All right. Cool. Boom. Okay. Okay. Because the guy that came in, he had the 6.0 or he had the 6.0, so I was curious which one you were referring to, Ernest. If it was, because I was gonna say if it was the same racket, that would have been a cool coincidence, but it was not. Ow. Ugh. Yeah. Come on, man. This is not fun. Why is it being difficult? There we go. That's one. Cool, cool. Still. Cool. There we go. Okay, cool. Now, Chills, Ernest, I appreciate you two always being here. It is always a grand time talking to you both. And I know I had been gone for a while. I was, really busy with work because major tournaments in the area were coming around, and so we had to prepare for all that and get all that stuff ready, as well as I was in a musical. That was pretty fun. So I was focused on that. I still played. Actually, I didn't really play it. I didn't really play much tennis this summer. I was doing the musical because, of course, the one day we have rehearsals is the one day that my tennis group usually plays tennis, and I'm just like, man, that is the worst possible timing. And it was. But the musical is over, and especially with getting ready to move back indoors for tennis, which I tend to prefer, it's going to be a great time. I also started a new medicine because I was trying to get rid of something that has been going on, an ongoing problem, and now the medicine seems to be working. So luckily, we should be all good. And now we're back to this, having fun, having a time, hanging out. So thank you both for always being here. I appreciate it. No worries. Dang, the stiffness already, the Wilson High. 74? Jeez, that's insane. You know, back in COVID year, I got some cheap price for pristine racket. Pro Staff Night. Thing time, everything went cheap. I was like, new price is high. Yeah. All the racket prices are high right now. It's just like, man, not the most fun. But from what I have potentially heard, there is a possibility that some of the racket companies have realized, now that a lot of the tariff situation has been figured out, they kind of initially jumped the gun a little early on raising all the prices of the rackets, and now that a lot of the stuff has been figured out and they're kind of at like a baseline level, there's potential that they might be bringing racket prices down a little more, rather than them going up again. So if that does happen, I'd say that's a win-win for all. Now, not all racket companies are going to be able to do that. I think they said there was one that didn't really change too much. So if anything, they might be one of the few that actually increase here in the near future. But I'm not sure how true that actually is. I hope they all just go down, but if not, can't really do much about it. Yeah, Ernest, you are lucky your arm didn't fall off with that high of a stiffness. I hope you had either a multi-filament or a natural gut in there to help try and like counteract that. 74 is insane. Cool. All right. And anything else going on with you, Ernest? Chills? Saeed, if you're still here, anything going on with you? Anything cool? Cool. I think a synthetic gut probably strong. Yeah. I mean, synthetic gut's not bad, especially in terms of making it a little bit more arm friendly. It's definitely not polyester, but it's not a multi-filament or natural gut. So, if it works, it works. No harm, no foul. All right. Yeah. Oh no. All right. Cool. 6. What time is it? Wow. We've been going for a while. Trust me, I swear, it doesn't usually take me this long. But with 18 by 19 string patterns and being back on this machine, it's taking me a little bit longer than I thought. But anyway. What has everyone got planned for the rest of the night? I personally, after I get done here, I will be heading off to the gym. I tend to prefer working out at night. That's just me. I like the gym to be mostly deserted when I'm there, just because I want to be able to get on the machine or use whatever machines I need to without having to worry or wait for other people to be done. And just, for me, going at night has yielded best results for that. So I will be heading off there once I am done here. Anyone else got any other plans for the night? Whether it be hanging out here till the stream ends, whether it be after, whether you're gonna leave me to go do something else, which I get. I've got to say, I'm just a guy here stringing tennis rackets. But hey, I appreciate you being here, though. Let's see, as a one-hand backhand, would an Extreme Pro be appropriate, or any 98 square inch bracket? Yeah. Those would be perfectly fine, Ernest. One-handed backhand, it's pretty much just like whatever works best for you. I have found that when I work with people that use a one-handed backhand, they have tended to prefer a smaller head size just because that is easier to whip through on their backhand. And so by having that smaller head size, it's just a lot more maneuverable, and you can generate a little bit more spin and be a little bit more accurate in your timing. Whereas with the 100, because you have a little bit more surface area, you have to swing through the air and get going properly. It can sometimes be a little bit of a hindrance, but like any 98 seems to be kind of the sweet spot now. 98 or smaller. So whatever you feel more comfortable with. The Extreme Pro, the new version of it, I'm not so sure about, just because it is a lot more head heavy compared to previous versions. A lot more of the weight head decided to put into the actual head of the racket for some reason. But I don't know. I would say older versions would probably work better, but try it, see what you think. Ow. So, water ice. Not been getting any new rack. Natural gut for some extreme, or get an Aero 98. You could get an Aero 98. You could. And that Chills, what strings have you been stocking up on in terms of reels? I actually, funnily enough, just got a reel myself. Now, it's not a full reel because it was used. But a friend of mine had decided that they didn't want to use the string that was in the reel anymore, because funnily enough, they were also given this reel, and then they realized it was not what they thought, so they were like, I'm not gonna use this. So instead they used Solinco Confidential, and I was like, and they were telling me about this, so I was like, you still have that reel? He's like, yeah. I was like, can I have it? And he said, yeah. So I was like, great. So I got a partial reel of Solinco Hyper G Soft 16 gauge that I can start putting in things just to mess around with. Besides that, the only reel I've ever actually bought I think I have it over here. It just is hiding. Ow. No, yeah. I bought a reel of Genesis Zero Gravity Synthetic Gut. And you may be wondering, why did you buy that? And the reason was, it was cheap, and I got it to practice stringing because I bought a stringing machine. So, that is the only reason I even considered buying it and even did buy it. Cool. There we go. All right. Cool. Sweet. Let's see. Or get an arrow knife. Yeah. Ta-da. All right. We're almost done. Racket 1. Racket 2. Cool. I'm excited to play with these. Close. Thank you. Sweet. Like your take on the Yonex segment. Oh, thank you, Ernest. That was, you know, that Yonex, I love them. They do great. They do amazing work with their rackets. They just need to make more of them and get them distributed a lot better. Because, like, people love them. People want them. Everyone's asking for them. But if they can't get them here, it doesn't matter. And I really don't want them to falter or lose their positioning they have, because I think that they have a very easy chance to break or beat the big three, being Wilson, Head, and Battleat. I really think that they could take over number one in terms of racket sales and just like rackets everywhere. But if they have this problem to where they can't get rackets to people and that people can't buy them, then it's like they're just going to go somewhere else. And then you just wasted all of that time and you lost the goodwill that the brand had. And it's like, dude, what are you doing? Cat Eater, is it true they're discontinuing Polytour Strike? That I have not heard. I haven't heard of them discontinuing Polytour Strike. I would doubt they're going to, but they may. I'm not entirely sure, but I have not heard of them doing that. That's I still cannot get my head around on Yonex rackets due to the shape, even though they made strides improvements. Yeah, the shape is usually what gets people, and I get it, but it's like, to each their own. If you like it, you like it. If you don't, you don't. And there's nothing wrong with either. It's just all personal preference. Cool. Racket. Cool. Now this is the string I'm probably most interested in playing. Ben Shell Madison Keys is the face of Yonex currently. Yeah. I don't know. You could probably put Paolini in there, as well as hold on. I was gonna say Osaka, but I don't know if she won or lost her match against Coco at the U.S. Open. But Naomi, if Kyrgios ever starts showing up again, I don't know if he will, but if he does, he's a big face. You have, of course, like you mentioned, Ernest, Benny Shelton, Masson Keys. Like I said in that video about Yonex, Masson Keys winning the Australian Open with the new E-Zone, that just kind of like exploded that thing into popularity, I want to say. Even though it already had kind of like its cult following from the beginning, that I think was a big like big selling point for the new version. It's like, oh, she just won a Grand Slam with that, and it just came out earlier that week. I need to try that. You know, I've been thinking playing with natural gut, you need weight on the racket frame to really maximize the power and be able to control gut. Are you talking about a full bed of gut, Chills, or are you talking about, say, like natural gut with a polyester? Because if you're talking a full bed of natural gut, yeah, I would probably say you're going to need a little bit of modifications to really get the most effect out of it. If you're talking about it with polyester, then I think it becomes a little bit more manageable, and you don't have to adjust the racket as much, to where you can just adjust for the poly and the tension that you're using on that instead. What the? How did that get under that? All right, cool. No. It's time for final racket of the night. And the string I have been wanting to try, that my friend gave me and I have not gotten to try yet. Yonex Polytour Fire. I've heard many great things about Polytour Fire. Even though it's a not sided string, it's circular. I have been told it has amazing spin potential because of the oil-based coating it's got. It's really great at snapback. And I've also heard a lot of people like to use it as a cross instead of an actual full bed, just because of that coating. So that way, and if they have a poly-poly hybrid, they can still get good snap and feedback from these strings without having to worry about breaking it as much. So I am going to be very curious to see how this does. And luckily, my friend who gave me this pack of Polytour Fire, he's like, oh yeah, I can't really play right now. I hurt my shoulder. So, do you want a pack? I was like, yes, I would love a pack of Polytour Fire to try out. He's like, oh, cool. Come on. Cool. There we go. Ow. All right. Sweet. My RF01 Pro, sometimes it feels like it's making the tennis ball fly long. I'm used to the racket. The racket seems light for me. Well, Yonex best selling poly at the moment, so I'm thinking of putting some tungsten tape at 12. If the ball's flying on you, if the ball's flying on you, I don't know if putting weight at 12 would be the solution. Just because by increasing the swing weight, you're just going to bring the racket through faster, essentially creating more power. And kind of just like launching the ball even further. Chills. So I would say, depending on how tight you have the natural gut strung. That might be it, because like if you have it at your normal range, I don't know what you normally string at. Maybe go up in tension if you're using a full bed of it by like 2 or 3 pounds, since with it being natural gut, you're most likely going to be okay and not have to worry about tennis elbow since it's natural gut, unless you're already on the extreme high end. But I don't know if adding lead tape at 12 would do what you're wanting it to. But that's just me. Yeah. What Yonex best-selling poly at the moment? I would probably. Oh man. Okay. Ernest, I would probably say it is Yonex Polytour Pro. That's probably like their flagship polyester and the one that they're known for the most. And it's usually the one that sells the best. Also, it's the one. What went under there? I don't know what that was. Oh, that's what it was. It was my Pathfinder all. Kind of need that. Alright. There we go. Technical difficulties. Sorry. But, yeah. Polytour Pro, I'd say, is probably the leader right now. And then, if not, it's probably either Polytour Rev or honestly Polytour Drive. Just because Polytour Drive is so much less expensive compared to almost all the other Polytours. And it's sided, so it's just a cheap sided poly that people can get put into their rackets to help increase the amount of spin they get a little bit more. So I'd probably say it's either Drive or Polytour Pro. Rev is pretty good in terms of sales that I've seen. I liked Rev. Now, granted, I like to play with it, but I also just really liked the purple color of it, and I really like that purple color in the new Midnight Percepts, which I am very not happy about that I was not able to get one in my grip size before they were already sold out. So I was just not a happy camper when that happened. I was ready for it. I was excited. I was going to get it. And then I go to get it and I see the place I was going to get it from is out of my grip size. I was like, no! I waited for so long. And now I don't know when they'll ever show up to get a new one. RF01 Pro have that 4 close string that I'm feeling a weird feel, but when I'm using RF Pro Step 97 feels right. Yeah. The RF01 Pro's just a weird, it's kind of a weird racket. To me, it just felt hollow. Like, it did its job, but it felt weird doing it. And I think Wilson has kind of been getting that feedback from others. And so I would assume that they're working on a new one because like Roger and I think he wants another one or like the line to continue. So hopefully whatever's going on gets figured out. So the Midnight Percept is the works for you. Yeah, I have wanted one since I saw that thing before when Yonex brought it to us to show us before it was even announced. I have wanted the Midnight Percept that much. I was just like, I like that color. That looks sick. I like the racket. I want it. And then when I couldn't get it, sadness. Just sadness. This is gonna be close. I don't like that. Is nice acrylic? Yes. Yes, it is, Ernest. I agree. Oh no! Oy. I have done that. I have pinched my thumb way too many times. I have way too much string on this side and not enough on that side. This is not ideal. I need more room to do this in. Stringing here, fine, it's cool and dandy. I'm right next to an outlet, so that works out, so I can have the chat right next to me and not talk and interact with you guys. But being right here, it's a little cramped. I'm not the tallest or biggest guy. I'm a little lanky, but we'll see. Ow. Man. Oh, I don't. Man. Did not get that view. It's a good thing I keep spare string in order to use as a jumper cable. This one's probably way longer than it needs to be, but it'll get the job done. Cool. Let's chill. So what I was saying, the Pro RF01 is heavy for some players, but I think it needs more weight on the frame to not get that feel. If you want to just increase the static weight of it, I would probably just try by starting to add weight into the throat, because then you're just increasing the actual static weight and making the racket heavier without changing the balance of it too much and necessarily affecting your stroke or your timing as much. That's probably where I would start if you're trying to get that feeling that I believe you're looking for. So I would probably start with like 2 or 4 grams in the throat. Like if you do 4, 2 grams on one side, 2 grams on the other side. Or if you do 2, 1 gram here, 1 gram there. Just see how that plays for you first, Chills, and then adjust accordingly from there. But it's up to you. That's what I would probably do, just dependent upon what you are actually trying to get out of it. Because I may be confusing what you actually want, and what I told you may just be absolutely terrible advice, because it is the exact opposite of what you are trying to accomplish. It might be. I might be a little lost. I see. It's great info. Oh, thanks, man. Of course. Yeah. I personally, with lead tape, if you can see it, I don't know if you can, but I got some on my percep, like right here, and then there's another piece right there. I did put lead tape in these frames because I personally felt that the actual racket itself in its base form was a little bit unstable. So, especially when I was playing people that were hitting the ball a lot harder at me. So I would use the lead tape to try and use as a stabilizer, but I also took into account the fact that I knew by adding the weight, especially where I did at like 10 and 2, that it was also going to increase the swing weight and adjust the balance of my racket because there's more weight moving towards the head now rather than being more evenly balanced or even head light like most control rackets tend to be. So it just also helped that for me, since I was wanting to accomplish getting a little bit more power and a little bit more stability, that's where going to putting lead tape at 10 and 2 worked well for this racket specifically and for what I was trying to accomplish. But you can mess around with lead tape almost all you want. I personally prefer the Technofiber pre-cut lead tape that's in 2-gram strips, and the pack is like, I think of 10, it's 10 2-gram strips. I personally think that is the easiest to work with for myself, just because if I'm going to change the weight of a racket, I don't think I'm usually going to change it by 1 gram each time. I'm not that finite on the details, at least for these. I think 4 grams was just fine. But I tend to prefer that. I know some people do tend to prefer the Turna lead tape where it's all rolled together and you have to like measure it out as like each 4-inch strip is 1 gram of weight. Some people prefer doing that just because they can be a little bit more technical and precise with it. But I personally just like Technofiber's 10 gram strip. 10 strips of 2 grams, just because that's, to me, always been the easiest to work with. I never really have tried using like Babolat's balancer tape. I never really have used that, and I don't think I understand it because I haven't used it. But Wilson's tungsten tape also can do good. It's just you can customize that a little bit more because I think it says each dot on it, or like the space from where the black starts to the white dot, is 0.25 grams of weight. So if you want, you can use the entire strip, or you can cut it to what you specifically need and then just save the rest for later. But that's a little bit more like, okay, I'm gonna just hopefully not lose this by the time I need it. Ta-da. Cool. Ow. All right, cool. All right. Cool.
Keeping both versions of the white, I'm interested in the white version 1.305. I heard that strings loses tension and gradually breaks easily on the string bit.
I mean, I didn't feel like it lost tension that quickly on the whiteout. I mean, I have version 1 and version 2. I personally haven't felt a very big difference in terms of how they lose tension, or if one is harder on the strings than the other. One of them might be, but I'm also probably not the best person for that, to be judge of that, just because I don't break string. Like, it took me months to break one string. And this was after I had already been playing for many, many, many years. And I had this racket I had this racket for a while, and I had one multi-filament in it. And I'll never forget, I was helping to coach a tennis clinic at Miami University, and I had this racket with me, and it was fraying so much. I finally got it to start fraying, and the thing was, I was so desperate to finally break a string. I was like, come on, this has to happen at least once in my tennis career. So I would take the string, I would take the string itself, if it was like this, I would move it up and down, like trying to shave it, so that way it would be less structured and less durable in order for me to finally break it. And then one day, it was either the second to last or the last day of camp, me and one of the other coaches, he is my friend, that we both knew each other before we went to the camp. We were playing, we were just hitting around because the kids were done for the time. We had a little bit of time just for the coaches to mess around. Him and I are hitting. I go to hit the ball. I hit a forehand, and I finally hear the snap that I've been waiting for so long. I'm ecstatic because the string finally broke. My friend quite literally drops his racket and he goes, "Yeah!" And we just celebrate together that I finally broke a string, and I haven't done that since. So, I've only ever broke one string in my life in terms of playing with it. I've cut many strings out of rackets for stringing purposes, and just because it was the correct thing to do since they had been in there for way too long. But actually playing with a string and breaking it, I've only ever done it once. People don't believe me. They're shocked when I say it. And they're just like, I don't understand you. I break them every 3 weeks. I'm like, yeah, I don't do that. That was my story time about breaking tennis string. Come on. Why is this being difficult? Thank you. What do you prefer between the two? I would say I prefer between the original whiteout and the whiteout V2. I would say I prefer the whiteout V1 because to me it felt a little stiffer, or it just felt like there was a little bit more feedback from it. I think version 2 does a better job of being a more arm-friendly Slinko whiteout. And I think version 1, and I think the reason Slinko did that was because version 1, for it being a control racket and also being their very first time making the racket, making the blackout and the whiteout, I think that some people felt version 1 was a little bit too stiff, but for me, I actually liked how it felt, so I would say I prefer version 1 over version 2. Version 2 is not bad, but if I have the choice between the two, I would probably lean towards the original. Oh man, so close. No. Come on. String. Alright. Cool. 5 people watching. Ooh. Alright. There we go. I like playing with the 18x19. Stringing it can get a little boring, especially because I had to make it work earlier when I did not have enough string on the one side.
So the whiteout is Solinko's control line, blackout the power line. Is there a spin line in the works for Solinko?
That I do not know. I don't think it is. I think they're trying to fine tune and really nail power and control first before they move to a spin racket. And that's usually what I would see most I think what I see most brands do is just because if you look at, say, like Technofiber as an example, they have the T-Fights, they have the TF40s, and then they have technically the TFX1s. So the weird thing about that is Technofiber pretty much has 2 control rackets and then a power racket. The TF40, I would say, is more control than the T-Fight. The T-Fight is a little bit more powerful and a little bit more user-friendly than the TF40. But I don't know why they made the T-Fight and the TF40 and then they just have the TFX1, because the TFX1 is much different, much more powerful, much thicker of a racket, and it's much more like the Babolat Pure Drive, the Solinko Blackout, the Wilson Ultra, the Head Instinct and Boom, and all of those, but it doesn't really like do much for them. You pretty much have a lot of, if not all of the Technofiber players either using the T-Fight, which that's what most of them are using, or at least endorsing, or the TF40. So it's kind of like, I think with Solinko focusing on the 2 and then just having different versions in order to try and like maximize or really nail down what will make these rackets great before they move to a spin racket is their plan. I don't know that plan. I don't know if that's true or not, but that would be my guess. But I'd be curious to see what they are able to come up with for a spin racket, especially since they have probably the string that most people equate to spin being Hyper G, and almost everywhere you see, you will find that racket and that combo.
So the white, probably blackout V2 in the works.
Probably. I would assume, just because that is kind of their only other racket to bring out. So I would say the Blackout V2 is a potential. I just don't know when that would be. But seeing as how the whiteout was earlier this... No, the whiteout was it late last year or the beginning of this year? I want to say it was late last year. Like really late. No, it was earlier this year. Yeah. It was earlier. I'm almost positive it was earlier this year. But with that, I would assume the blackout would be soon, but I can't say for sure.
Let's see. Where did Dangia? I just bought a stream machine.
That's cool, man. What kind of machine did you get? And please tell me if I said that right or wrong. I probably butchered it. I don't know if I butchered it once or if I butchered it twice, but let me know if I said it right or wrong. Please. I would like to know. What was it? Oh, yeah.
Game progression, ST, you're good, by the way.
Yeah, I may be good. but which way is correct? We'll do it like this. I'll say option 1, I'll say it the first way, and then I'll say it option 2, and then you just tell me which one is right. So, option 1, Dangia. Option 2, Dongia. Which one? Okay, so it's Dangia. Perfect. Right? Christopher, Technofiber 305S is the most overrated racket of all time. I swear, YouTubers were getting paid for glowing reviews. See, I haven't got to hit with the new one, but compared to the old 305S, well, compared to the old 305, I would hope that Technofiber figured something out, because the old 305 was a beast of a swing weight. Like, that thing was not usable for a lot of players that it was marketed towards. Now, I personally like the 18x19 string pattern. I would hope that kind of comes across, because I'm quite literally I have strung, at least today on this live, 2 Percept 100Ds, which are the 18x19 string pattern from Yonex. But I haven't really got to hit with the new 305S. I don't know. I don't know. I think I personally lean more on the TF40 kind of side than the T-Fight kind of side. Mainly just because when I try the TF40 versus the T-Fights, the TF40 just works a lot better for my backhand. Because I believe, if I'm not wrong, the TF40 has a little bit of a longer handle. And that works so much better because I have a 2-handed backhand. The T-Fight has seems to have a shorter handle on it. So the one-handed backhand, to me, works better with that racket. That's just me, though. I may be completely wrong, but that's what I have noticed. If I get the chance to try a T-Fight 305S, Christopher, I will definitely let you know if it's actual trash or not. But we'll see. I haven't got to fully hit with it yet. It's like, Dan, but like Ninja. Thoughts on the Pure Strike? In terms of what, Dan? In terms of what, Mr. Dangia? Are we talking about playability? Are we talking about the new colorway of it? Are we talking about how it's fallen off over the years? What are we looking for specifically? Because the Strike is one of those racket lines where it's like, it's around, it's been around. It was a lot more popular a few years ago, and now it's just kind of like fallen by the wayside. But what would you like to know? Do you like hitting with it? Okay, cool. So, Strike, I would say, me hitting with the Strike, I think overall it's fine. I will say I liked the Strike VS. I would probably say the best out of all the recent Strikes. Now, I know that the Strike VS kind of just got turned into the Strike 97. It's almost the exact same thing. They might have changed something slightly, but overall, it's pretty much the same thing. So I have preferred the Strike VS. The one thing about the Strike with hitting with it, I felt like it was a little hollow at times, so it didn't feel very solid. And of course, it is Battle Ash control frame, so they are working to try and make it a more flexible racket, which they're not really that known for. So it's a little bit of like a give and take there, but it still does well. People, I just think, don't play with it as much because they find other options from other brands, because the control racket, the 98 head size with the 16x19 pattern, is becoming a much more common and much more requested, that a lot more brands are fulfilling that need, and the Strike's just kind of like fallen off. It plays fine. It's a little bit more powerful than, say, a Wilson Blade 98 16x19 or a Head Radical MP. It just has that weird little feeling to it that drives a few people away. And the other big thing was the Pure Strikes, at least in the previous generations, they were notorious for cracking on the inside of the throat, like right in here, where close to the actual stringing happens. So that kind of set a bad taste in people's mouth, even though playing with it was overall fine.
Funny thing, Christopher, funny thing, the pros hardly ever use Pure Strike. Almost all the ATP guys use the old Babolat Pure Control.
Yeah. Didn't Team still use the Pure Control, or did he actually switch over? I don't remember if he did or not.
The Strike is arguably Babolat's best line. This new colorway, they really should have been the original generation colorway. That was their mistake. The style is really good overall. I just demoed it and it's so good. I feel like it's kind of slept on.
Yeah. I would agree pretty much with most everything that was said. I think the new gray colorway much better. I don't know why they did from white and red with that white color to where they had that 2 red flat, 2 red sides, 2 black sides on Gen 3 to where Gen 4 is just white colorway with 4 reds now. That was stupid, in my opinion. Now, the new colorway, the gray, looks great. It looks very different. It's enough of a change to where people are going to notice, and it is starting to help give the Strike a little bit more identity compared to some of the other rackets that are out there. You don't see too many gray rackets right now, so it's pretty cool. Playing with it wise, like I said, people just don't play with it as much anymore because they see everyone else not using it. I really think that with Dominic Thiem kind of being like the champion of the Strike, and then him getting injured, the Strike was in its heyday almost when he won the U.S. Open with it, and then after that it just went because he got injured. He wasn't playing much. I think it was Nakashima. He was using it for a while, but then he stopped using it. He switched to something else. And then there wasn't really a lot of representation from the Strike. And so that really just kind of like left it to just fall by the wayside. Even though overall the racket's still good, it's just people started moving to different things because of not seeing any of the pros play with it, as well as just getting a little bit of a sour taste in their mouth, like I said, from how fragile they were a few years ago. They didn't want to run the risk of it breaking on them and then having to get a brand new one because it couldn't handle being strung or anything like that, or just breaking from a stress fracture.
I was wondering if Babolat fixed the issue on Strike 98 16x19 version on their swing weight.
What was the issue? Was the swing weight always off? Because like quality control, not necessarily a lot of the brand's strong suits. Not saying that, and that's just kind of like a blanket term. They all have their margin room for error. I have not really heard about the Strike line or the Strike 98 in specific being one that was like, oh yeah, this is almost always off or anything. But
It could have been. Higher swing weight.
yeah, that's not fun. That would be awful. Cool. We got it. This Polytor Fire is going to be fun to play with.
Let's go. What's a good string suggestion for a Pro Staff V14?
Currently using Rattlesnake Sniper.
And restring sync 51. Lean towards switching sync to biphase for added pop and comfort. Yeah, that would work.
I think it's going to depend on what you're trying to get out of the string bed by changing the string, because if you don't know what you're trying to get, you could try a bunch of different things and it's not going to matter. You don't know what you're trying to get. But
if you're using Grapple Snake and restring and you're wanting to lean more towards pop and comfort,
I think biphase would do you fine. If you want to go a little bit more close to probably how restring is going to feel, then you might want to go to Technofiber Triax, just because Triax is their multi-filament that does have a little bit more of a polyester build to it. So I believe, if I'm not mistaken, I think I just sat on scissors. If I'm not mistaken, Triax should be the one that has a polyester core to it and then is just wrapped by the multi-filaments. And that way you can just have a little bit more of a durable poly, because Grapple Snake Sniper, if I'm remembering correctly, I've not tried it. I've not used any Grapple Snake string. If you know Grapple Snake and you would like me to review them, send them my way. Be like, hey, there's this guy. He'd love to try your stuff. Talk about it. I would. But if I'm remembering, Sniper is pretty heavily sided. So by having Triax in there and just being a little bit more durable because of the polyester core, that might last you a little bit longer, rather than going to biphase, which it will be softer, it'll be easier on your arm, it'll be a little bit more powerful, but it's going to break a little bit quicker because of that. So that's where you kind of have to like pick and choose which one you think would work best for you and kind of go from there. I would probably lean towards Triax myself, but you could use biphase and still be fine. You would just have to adjust to you just have to adjust to it, and it's going to be an adjustment no matter what string you go to, because multi-filament from poly is very different, as I should know. I have poly in here, multi-filament in here. It'll be fun to see how these do. I can't wait. I'm playing tomorrow, so I had to get these done. Well, while I'm here, I might as well grip this. But no. Anything else? Now it's kind of like a fireside chat. I'm sitting down. I'm assuming you all are sitting too, doing whatever you're doing, and then now we're just sitting together having a talk. I'm done stringing, so what do we need? What do we need to know? Or if there are any suggestions from you guys about content you would like to see, strings you would like me to look into, strings you would like me to talk about, comment below. Let's talk about them. OG colorway on the strike is on sale, but for how long? What do you mean by OG? Oh, are you talking about like the okay. I don't know. I think that is probably, my guess would be until they just run out of strikes. That would be my guess. I don't know the exact lifespan of how long Bablat plans to run that, but with the new colorway coming out, I would probably assume it's going to be. I would probably assume the old colors are going to stay on sale for quite a while. Will Head sell that demo Black Gravity Tour 98 colorway? I don't know if Head will sell this. I think they only got it to approved retailers, and then the retailers might have discretion to do whatever they want. I have no clue about that. I was just
I was just very lucky to get this one. And I was like, okay, thank you. I'm not going to argue. For the strike, they will stay on sale until all the whites are sold. That colorway's being... Okay, yeah. Cool. Sco away. I'm sorry, I don't know how to say it. Please correct me. I would like to know how to say it. But thank you for the info on the strike. Very helpful. 2. Enough. How long have we been here? 2 hours. Okay. Crazy that it took 2 hours to do 3 rackets. If I was at work and that happened, they would be like, hey, what happened to you? As well as they'd be like, why did it take 2 hours to do 3 rackets? You should have done double that. Well, not double, but you should have at least been able to get 1 more done. Ernest. Probably a strike from me down there. See? We like it. Sco away. Again, please tell me how to say it. Thank you for being here. We appreciate it. I know Ernest does now that he got the exact info on the sale. Seemed like a chill and cool person to hang out with. So thank you for hanging out. But yeah, Ernest. If sale's pretty good. Are the Head Prime Tour Overgrips just as good as the Wilson Pro Overgrips? Honestly, I would say they're about the same. I have never had a qualm with them. And comparing between the two, I would say that yeah, they're about the same. I got no problems with either. I think that the Wilson one, a lot of it is just familiarity, and since they've been around longer, that people just tend to prefer that over the Head ones. But I've not had a problem with it. I've not had a problem with the Head Prime Tour. Yeah, Prime Tour. And honestly, I think that the Prime Tours are a little bit tackier than the Wilsons are, at least to start out with. So then with that, granted, if your hands sweat a lot, maybe not the best thing to do because more chance of it slipping out of your hand, but I think the Head grips do very well. You know, the grip that surprised me the most actually is straight out of left field, and I'll grab it when I'm done like putting this on. The grip that surprised me the most, and I did not think would be as good as it is. Where did it go? I know it's over here. I saw it before I started straight. Are these. The Diadem Profil grips, these actually do pretty good. And I was very surprised at how long this actually lasted, especially compared to like a Wilson Pro Overgrip or the Head Prime Tour. Big contenders right here. Diadem, in my opinion, did a good job with these. Now I've only used one, but that's because I'm trying to save them. Yes, I got it right. Let's go. Woo! Ernest, maybe you should do an overgrip comparison on your channel. Okay. Okay. What would I judge those on? How long it takes me to use them? Tackiness? I could probably figure that out. May have to do that. Thanks, Ernest. I can always count on you.
All right, cool. But this I gotta get this to my dad. How long we've been here? Yes, tackiness. You welcome. Okay, cool. Yeah. So, with that, I really don't. Let's go. What you got? Seeing a lot of blacked out Wilsons on tour currently with a mold similar to the Arrows is possibly the rumored Snake, aka the Shift 2. So, the blacked out. I'm assuming the one you're talking about is the one that I think it's Kachanov that's using it, Karen. Now, it might be the Shift 2, but I honestly think that if Wilson is going to have a spin racket, I think they kind of missed with the Shift. I think that they should probably go back to the drawing board, or at least, like, if not, change the name and change something up, because the Shift is a weird racket to try and explain to someone if they don't know what you're talking about. Do as well power and control segment. Okay. But with how the Shift works in terms of the bending of it, in my opinion, from playing with them, if you don't have more of a semi-Western to Western forehand, it's just going to not be a good time. Like, if you're more like me, to where I have a more Eastern or a more flat ball strike, and you use the Shift, no matter which one you use, whether it's the Pro, the regular Shift, the 99L, it feels as if when you go to hit flat, it feels like the racket to me was stiffer than a pure drive. And that's not what Wilson wants. And that's not what the modern game is. And a lot of it is brushing up on the ball, is creating topspin. And that's where, if you have that semi-Western to Western grip on your forehand, the Shift does really well. And it can actually bend and provide a lot of topspin that a lot of other rackets can't. However, if you don't hit it right, or you don't hit it correctly, it's not going to feel great. So that's where it's a weird kind of mix that the Shift is in. It's kind of in like a limbo, and it never really got out of it from when it released. So that's where I would say, I think if Wilson is going to try and continue to have a spin racket that is relevant to fight the monster that is the Babolat Pure Air of 98, I feel like they would have to go back to the drawing board in order to, like, really figure out what they want this to be, and maybe incorporate some of the Shift technology in order to make that work properly. Yes, the Shift should be revised. Just use spin grommets and make it an open pattern. I see. I think, and this is just me. I think that if they did like what you said, Ernest, they use spin grommets, so like they open the grommets up to allow the strings to move a little bit more, as well as the fact of they allow or even bring back the old S pattern, the 18x16 that they used to have for the Burns, or even some of the old Blade 98Ss or the Pro Staff 97LS. I think they could have a big contender if they wanted to have an extreme spin monster, or if they just want to have something that's a little bit more modern. Then they go and actually open the grommets up like normal. They keep the traditional 16x19 string pattern. Maybe they go back to the 16x18 like they did for the Ultra Pro, which is, well, the new Ultra Pro, which is essentially just the Steam 99, and allow that to also be the spin frame, because the strings are more open, they have more space to move, and have more access to spin from that snapback that they're going to get. So that's probably where I would say the Wilson may want to move towards. Now, granted, I don't work for Wilson. I don't belong on the Wilson team. I don't know anything. But that's where, just from observing and looking from the player perspective,
that's where I think they would probably find a good solution to not having a very effective spin frame right now comparatively to other brands such as Babolat, Yonex, and Head. And that's what I gotta say about that. So hopefully that answered your question, Sco. But yeah, let's see. We've been here for almost 2.5 hours. Now, I'm done stringing, as you guys have seen. I'm cool to sit here and chat until if we want to go to the 2.5 hour mark. I'm cool with doing that. If you guys want to. If not, I will go and I will let you all return to your normal lives. And you do not have to keep watching me. It is up to you. I do not care. January will be 2 major releases, new arrows and new V-cores. Any good early news? I'm hopeful that January will be for the V-core. Because if you watched the video I posted on earlier this week, it was not this week, but last week, about Yonex's big problem they're having in terms of just production. They say they will release the new V-core in January. I tend to lean very skeptical towards if they're actually going to hit that date, just because of how much demand and volume they have for the new E-Zone right now, and the fact that they're not even making normal V-cores that are currently out, as well as Perceps. Yes, they were able to release the Midnight colorway of the Perceps. However, that had already been pre-planned and already like pre-made and ready to go. Because they aren't making those really at all right now, I would be very skeptical about whether or not that January release date for the V-core is actually going to work out for them. I hope it does. I'd love to see the new V-core, and someone told me that there's a glossy colorway of the new V-core, and I want to see it. That sounds sick. However, it might be a little bit later than what we think. And besides that, for the Arrow, I've heard some cool things. I don't know if they are confirmed, but if they are true, I think the new Arrow, especially the 98, is going to be a very it'll be a little decisive about whether or not people lean towards the current Arrow 98 or the new one. So I'll be very curious to see how that plays out in terms of which way people start to lean in January when the new one comes out. If it works out for Babolat, I think it'll do good and for what they're trying to accomplish with it. If it doesn't work out, they better very quickly start remaking all the Arrow 98s that are currently out there, because that thing ain't gonna go away. So Shift V2 is probably coming next year. I'm not sure. Wilson might still be workshopping it, because since they just started having players play test with it, or play test with whatever that blacked out one is, I don't know if it would come out next year. It might, or it might be going until even 27. I don't know. I would assume Wilson is trying to get it out as quickly as possible while still making a quality product, because they know if they just try and come out with a absolute rush job of a racket, and especially for the spin racket, and it doesn't work again, then it's going to be like devastating, and no one's going to trust Wilson for a spin racket at all for a while. So I think they're trying to really fine tune what's going on, and then see when they can bring it to us in order to actually get it in people's hands. The only thing everyone complains about arrows, the feel / rigidity. I think they'll lean towards adding the NF2 tech to the handle like they did the Pure Drive line, which was a success. Yeah, they might. I hope they figure it out. From what I've heard, the new look of the arrow is pretty cool. I didn't get to see it. I almost got to see a picture of it, but the person that was going to show me, he had to leave before he could. And I was like, man, I wanted to see it. But I hope it works out for him. If it doesn't, I hope they keep making all the old Pure Aero 98s. Because that thing, I'd say that is probably the second highest selling racket, at least at my store that I work at. Number one is obviously the E-Zone 98. No doubt in my mind. Ever since that thing came out, that thing has almost never been in stock. That racket is almost gone as soon as it gets to us. But the Pure Air 98 is arguably, like, I would say the second most sold racket at the store that I work at. No questions asked. Whether that be customers that come in, some of the employees that have switched over to it, or just in general, I'd say that Aero 98 is everywhere. Cool. Anything else? Alcaraz was holding his forearm again yesterday. Pure 9 is a long-term problem with 71 RA. Yeah. Does anyone here know? I haven't watched a tennis nerd video lately about it, but does anyone here know if Alcaraz is still using a full set of RPM Team, or if he's using RPM Team and VS Touch? Because if he's using VS Touch with the RPM Team, then the stiffness rating effect goes down a little to him holding his arm. But if he's just using a full bed of RPM Team, then it's like, yeah, Chris, exactly what you said. That stiffness is going to be a problem, especially at the level he's playing at for that long. And the further he goes in the Grand Slams, it's just going to get harder and harder and harder on him. But if anyone knows what his setup is currently, let me know. I believe it's still RPM Team in a full head, and he took the lead tape out of the throat. Okay. So he pretty much just went back to stock for it then. Which is weird, because I thought his thing about the Aero 98 was the fact, and the reason he put the lead tape in there was because the racket itself wasn't stable enough in order to deal with the pace that was getting thrown at him by all of these guys. So if he just took it off, he went back to the same problem he had, unless he figured something out, and he might have. I am not Alcaraz or his coach or his team, but he might have. I'm not sure. Cool. Anything else, gentlemen? And if there are ladies watching, ladies? Any news on Slingo YW2 18x20 if it's ever coming out? I would assume so. I would assume they would make an 18x20. It's probably not going to be. I would guess it's not going to be later this year. It may come out later next year. That would be my guess. I actually do have a meeting with Solinko tomorrow. So SCO, I can ask them tomorrow if they do plan on making that, and if I'm allowed to say, I will tell you I don't think they would have a problem with it.
if they allow me to. But yeah, I would assume they would make it just because having an 18 by 20 is not the worst idea. It's just nice to have in case someone wants to go that route, but overall, I hope they make it. I personally like 18 by 20s. They're hard to play with for almost everybody, but I personally like them just because I think they're fun. I mean, hey, I'm using an 18 by 19 right now, so I'm not that far off. All right, cool. We've now hit the 2.5 hour mark and a little bit over. So, if there are no further questions, I will say I'm going to end it here just because we've been here for a while. Ernest, thank you for the welcome back again, and thank you for the well wishes. I hope you have a great week and a safe week as well. Sko, thank you for coming out to the live for the first time. I don't think you've commented before, so it was great getting to chat with you. I won't say talk because you weren't talking to me, but we were chatting. And of course, glad I could help. I will be doing more stuff like this. Time is now allowing me to do so, and it's gonna be a great time. Thanks for the unbiased rag reviews, Christopher. Of course, I'm not sponsored by anyone, so I get to say whatever I want. Now, I do. Yeah, I just get to say whatever I want. It's pretty cool. It's the internet. Anyone's gonna say whatever they want anyway. But yeah, gentlemen, thank you for commenting. Thank you for being here with me and helping to keep me entertained for 2.5 hours. Very much appreciated. And as always, take care.